Hello, writers and scholars. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the Doctor of Education, or the EDD series. My name is N.HARV, hence the name of my channel and business, N.HARV, and I am a fourth-year doctoral student at Howard University, and specifically, I am an EDD student. That said, in this series, I'm not only going to highlight my doctoral journey, but I'm also going to highlight the doctoral journeys of others who have chosen this particular doctorate, as well as those who have chosen other professional doctorates. Why? Because I believe there's diversity in education, and a lot of people are simply unaware of the other options, the other doctoral options outside of a PhD. But at the end of the day, it's all about the universal doctoral experience. So I will have videos and topics where I'm solo, and I will also have videos and topics where I am joined by my esteemed colleagues across all disciplines. And today I'm excited because I am interviewing a special guest, so stay tuned. Today, we're going to talk about time management strategies for working professionals, specifically teachers in doctoral programs. What's up, good people, lovely people? My name is N.HARV, for those who may not know, hence the name of my channel and business, N.HARV, and you're in the right place for all things writing and education. And today is very special because I'm bringing back my EDD series, interview edition, and I have my very first guest for this year, actually. Very first guest for this year. You should feel very, very excited. I have my cohort sister, future Dr. Elise Robison. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey,
Hey, girl,
thank you
hey.
for having me. Hey, girl, hey.
What's
West
up?
Coast.
I know. Here's the thing. Elise and I are from California, or we grew up, spent a great deal in California. So we are repping the West Coast while we're on the East Coast. The weather is different, but I don't know about you. DC is not terrible, right? It's okay.
DC is not terrible. I love DC. I love that this city, we are here,
Yeah.
and I
hmm
love that. So,
In the nation's capital. It's a
mm,
lot going on, but we are here and we're representing for the all of the education lovers. And for those who may not know, also, let me say this, the EDD series is like where I share, it's a safe space where I share different paths to earn a doctorate, typically outside of the PhD, just to want to bring some awareness to other professional doctorates and research doctorates. So we're sharing today, we're talking about specifically the EDD, the Doctor of Education, but also the doctoral journey. Like, there's a universal experience that we all have, and time management is one of those universal topics that we can all learn from. So that is what we're going to talk about today, and this applies to all doc students across the board: PhDs, EDDs, uh, all of the other doctorates. I listed them all in a previous video, but yes, this is like a universal concept. And at least, I don't know about you, but this semester, time management is escaping me.
it's evading me, it's escaping me,
Yes.
and I really had to dig deep for some strategies and things, visual cues for
hmm
myself, to stay on track. And so I was happy when you gave me these prompts and when you asked me about this initially, because I really had to think about what time management meant for me and what that
Yeah.
looks like, even in ways where I may be not even recognizing that I am managing my time. And
Ooh,
maybe I'm not.
maybe, who knows? But before we get into it, why don't you let the people know like who you are, share your career path, as well as what led you to the EDD.
Okay, well, I'm Elise Robison, and I am an educator. I have been teaching for the last 16 years. If you count student teaching, that's 17. Um, all of the years I've taught, for the most part, have been in high school, with the exception of 1 year in middle school. And so that has been my journey. I knew in the eighth grade that I wanted to be a history teacher. And that is what I chose to pursue. I, had a little bit of a wink at the law profession, and sometimes that does come back to me because I enjoy reading the law. Um, but yeah, and so I taught in California for many years, at a high school in the Silicon Valley, and I taught US history, world history, government, econ, Avid, which props to Avid, and the program
Yes.
was amazing. Avid time management skills at the very foundation and core. And so a lot of my techniques and skills I pull from Avid. Shout out to all my Avid babies as well who are out there slaying. and living their best lives and using their strategies because they send me messages still.
Yeah.
Um, while I was teaching, obviously the pandemic hit, and that kind of threw us into this other world where you could think differently. And while the pandemic was horrible in many, many ways, of course, obviously, I do think it forced a pause that we, especially in America, in this consumer industry, hadn't really been confronted with in a
Mm-hmm.
long time. And that forced stop allowed for some of the noise to be quieted and for me to think of different things. And interestingly enough, during that time period, I was kind of propped up for this position, and my coworker at the time in the district that I worked in was also teaching at Stanford and their Stanford Graduate School for Education, or SHAG. Well, SHAG is a history group. And she asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in interviewing for a position for working with social studies teacher candidates?" And I said, that sounds really cool. I was really interested in like what do we do to keep teachers in the field?
Yeah.
Especially what do we do to keep teachers of color in the field? And Stanford had a long history of focusing on diversity and education and learning in their program. And so I had the opportunity to do that first semester and I loved it. And at that time, I was like, oh, I think I know what I want to do next. I want to help people. I love being in the classroom. However, I would also like to pursue other avenues so that I could help prop this system up. And my
Mm-hmm.
dream was to come to DC and eventually work for the Department of Ed. And yeah, I
Really?
wanted to find a way to support teachers from
Okay.
the inside through policy and protecting them. Um, that shifted a little bit, obviously, with
Yeah.
some of the changes. And, just because there's a pivot doesn't mean that it'll never happen. But yeah, that was one of my major goals. And that's why I selected Howard, not only because I had only ever gone to a PWI and I'd only ever lived in majority
Yeah.
white spaces
Same.
and or spaces that did not have a large Black population. And so I thought I got into Vanderbilt, USC, and Howard. And I paused and I said, hey, if I'm truly going to learn and grow, and one of my mentors, can I say people's names on here?
If you're comfortable with that, maybe just say their
Yeah,
first letter.
one of my mentors, we'll just call him TA. He
Okay.
gave me a wonderful opportunity. He said, if you get into Howard, I think you go to Howard. And
Mm,
he propped some things up for me that really put it into perspective and made me feel comfortable taking that leap. And even as a white male, he knew the importance of
yeah.
what this experience would mean for me. And it has not been easy. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but there is something really beautiful about coming to a space to learn and not ever having to reaffirm your worth or
Yes.
your dignity to other people. So you don't waste time. You can get into learning, you can get into tough discussions
Mm-hmm.
without wasting time in a lot of ways. And it doesn't mean everybody thinks the same. No, it's not the thing. But
No.
it does mean that when everybody shows up, knowing that everybody's worthy of dignity and respect and that intelligence can be in many forms, then you can get down to work and you can get to some really amazing conversations. And so that's how I ended up at Howard.
I love how you put that. Like that is so perfect. Not everybody thinks the same, but we do have a commonality. And so now that that's out the way, now we can really, really approach things as beautiful and diverse as we are. Like approach things in diversity. So I love that about Howard. And like you, I'm glad that you share that as well. I went to PWIs my entire college career, which I'm proud of. Like we both went to the University of California. Um, and I think that I also wanted that HBCU experience. And I also wanted to, not always, but for a long time, live in DC. So Howard was definitely, it was definitely the right choice for me as well. And I have other reasons why I chose Howard and the EDD program specifically, which I talk about in other videos, but I just want to let you know that I agree with you and that I have that in common with you where this is our first HBCU experience and it is not easy, but it's also worth it. It's
Yeah.
very worth it. Hmm.
What we're getting is there's not a word to describe it. And the only way I've been able to even kind of quantify it is as a feeling. And I had what was really kind of cool about my Avid experience. Sorry, a little bit of a tangent, but my senior Avid class, I left the same year that they did. So I was with them all 4 years and we
Okay.
all graduated together.
Right.
And one of my students, we'll call them AS, happened to be coming to Howard. And one of the things that they told me was, I just feel different here.
Ooh.
And you'll just know. She said, Miss Robson, I don't know how to explain this to you, but you'll it's just different. And I feel. And that was the first time I had heard this person express that type of sentiment after having grown up where they did and in the demographics that were there.
Mhm.
And her feeling seen for the first time. And I thought that that was really, and feeling truly just seen and heard and valued as a member of society without question and without doubt.
Right.
And so I don't know what word that is. I don't know if it's if it's Howarding, because Howard can Howard in a lot of ways. If it's the magic, but there is something that is in this air that changes you and shapes you
Hmm.
for the better.
For the better. I definitely agree with that. Um, Howard, as well as teaching. Like what inspired you, or really motivated, not even inspired, but motivated you to do it at the same time. I understand being a part of the program, getting this experience, and I also understand being an educator. What is hard though, for a lot of people who may not know, is doing it at the same time. Like what keeps you motivated to really be a part of this doctoral journey as well as being a working professional? A teacher, mind you, full-time teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm currently teaching full time at a high school here in DC. I would say I don't know if it's out of want as much as it out of necessity.
Okay.
And I have bills, I have a mortgage. And so I would think that's the number one driver. Well, I will say I love the experience that Howard gives us. We obviously know that HBCUs don't have as much funding. And so coming to this program, I knew that I was giving up partial funding at another program to come here for the experience. And so coming in knowing that is one thing, but then experiencing it and knowing it at the same time is another thing. And so it is really hard. My first year I moved here, I worked part-time and that was much easier. And now that I'm deeper in the program, I'm full-time. I have to be full-time. I have a wonderful, amazing family who will support me in anything I do. And so that's behind me. And I think my will to continue is one, I want to help people.
Yeah.
I love education. So I believe in education so much. I believe in public education. Like it is the backbone of our society, and so many people misunderstand what it actually does
Yeah.
for the public. So many people misunderstand who we help, how that system functions. Like if you need a speech pathologist, if you need an audiologist, if you are an English language learner, if you have 504 IEP needs, if you have, there's just so food,
Yeah.
number of children that are fed at school, or the number of children that are exposed to music or different curriculum that then opens up access for them to think differently or think more large than just maybe their block that they're exposed to.
Hmm.
And so I fully believe in it. And it just, yeah, that's really, I think, my why for continuing to pursue this is I want to be able to help kids in the long run. I want to be able to help schools. I want to be able to help educators
Yeah.
stay in this profession, especially educators that look like us, because we know that the turnover rates are really quite high, especially for Black females. We know that all the data is out there. There's a lot of people, even in our program, doing really cool work with it. And so I think that's really my why. It's
Hmm.
deeper than just there's just something in me
Yeah.
that keeps me going. And I don't know, it's probably a bit of stubbornness and like I'm just not gonna quit. I just can't.
That's needed, though. I think it's needed in order to complete certain seasons of your life and to complete certain assignments. And I will say that attending Howard in this season, us being like we are Doctor of Ed students in a climate that education is threatened. So this is like a calling, if you will. This is an assignment that we're on. So that stubbornness, I think is necessary, right? Don't you agree? Like it's necessary to complete the assignment.
It does. It does feel like we're an assignment. And as we kind of get crushed more and more, and as things keep coming down the pike more and more, showing up daily, doing the research daily, like my focus is on educational legislation and
Yeah,
how it's impacting people. I was in a really amazing research group with one of our mentors from the program, and she gave me an amazing opportunity. And I got to actually sit in interview sessions with people from different states on how educational legislation is impacting them.
that's cool.
And the data that we were able to collect was phenomenal, like mind-blowing data. And so I think there is a grit that needs to happen. And one of the things that I find really fascinating right now is I'm not shocked by any of this. He told us exactly what was going to happen. We have seen this before in America. Those of us who were not privileged enough to not to to be blind to this have known what's coming down the pike. We have seen this before. Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, 1954. Like if we're just going to look at the Topeka of it all, if we're just looking at that, I mean, it that case was it came down and the language in it was with deliberate speed to like
Yeah. Yep.
if you want to watch Remember the Titans, everybody loves Remember the Titans.
Right.
Nobody wants to really talk about what year that actually happened at T.C. Williams. And it was much further than 1954. And so I think us having this reckoning, I believe it was 1971, if I'm not mistaken, but it is early. We're kind of having this reckoning in America right now where a lot of us have been awake because we didn't have the privilege to not be because we have been experiencing it or our kids have been experiencing it, and other people are still refusing to be awake while still wanting to utilize the systems or thinking that if they
Mhm.
defund the systems, they'll have what they need, but not understanding what those systems actually do for them and their children, and not understanding how vouchers can harm. And if these schools get them, and if they don't fit in the criteria, they don't have to keep them or give them all the services they need. And so it's really right now out of sheer stubbornness and just a true love of the system to want to make sure that I know we know what needs to be done and how to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And so I don't really know how to describe that in any other way, but you just know.
I think you did, and you just know. Excuse me. And I think that for a lot of people who choose doctorates, to really pursue that, like to be a practitioner in their field or in their industry, you just know. It's something inside of you that's like, okay, this is your path. This is, the impact that is ahead of you. And like you said, you can say it, but that feeling to me is like a calling, is an assignment. So I appreciate the fact that I am amongst like other people who feel the same way that I do. Like there is something inside of us. It's like, okay, we have to make a change.
Yeah.
Like something has to change. And that is a beautiful thing to be in the midst of like-minded people. But it's also to sort of like switch into or to go into the next question. It's challenging to keep that change top of
Mhm.
mind when you have papers and you have projects and you have research to do and then you have emails to send and you have professional work, like you have lesson plans to create, and it's just like, and then you have to somehow have a social life because we want to be full humans. We're adult learners, but we are very much so still adults, so we want to date. We want to go to the gym. We want to do Pilates. We want to live. Like, how do we stay on top of that? How has your approach to time management changed?
I think I had two major shifts in how my time management changed. Like as mentioned earlier, my first year I worked part-time, and so only teaching two classes gave me time to just truly dig into the work. Like I
Mm.
could do everything during the day, and I had the energy after work to do
The
it.
energy, Elise, you had the energy, the operative word here, energy.
Is
Yes,
energy. And energy for me comes in two forms. It's mental energy,
yes,
because some of the things that we're reading, you got to reread them a few times to really
yes,
fully take in. If you're reading a case study, or if you're reading, I mean, if we're reading some bell hooks all about love, or if we're reading the giant law of education book,
right.
you got to have the mental energy to handle it. You've got to have that you have to know that your brain is on and that it's going to be willing and able to receive the information at that
Hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's a physical energy. Like, can my body actually sit down to do this? Or do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to eat? Am I hungry? Have I slept? And I think that's been the thing that's been a really big shift for me from teaching part-time to teaching full-time. And it's the time element.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed about myself is when I get overloaded, um, with some of my tendencies that I have from my attention issues that I have, I kind of can shut down, or I will ramp myself up so much that I don't sleep. And so what I find myself doing is working until 11 or 11:30, getting up again at 4 in the morning and working from 4 to
Mm.
6 or to 6:30. And I'm like, well, that's not a
Yeah.
sustainable thing. And to be quite honest with you, I haven't found a perfect system for me, but I did set some ground rules for
Ooh, okay.
myself. And I have maintained it for the most part. So one of the things is I will not bring my computer into my room for work. And so if I have grading or anything, I will not do it in my bedroom because I don't want that space to have that energy in it. I
Okay.
want to go into my room, have it be my place where I can go to bed
Yep.
or read a book, not a workbook, but read a book.
Yep.
And so I really try to stick to that. The other thing is I have calendars, and last year I did not use my calendar as much. And so this year, as of January, I went through and I scheduled everything that we have for the semester
Ooh.
in a calendar. And I went and bought a big calendar
Yes.
that I need to hang on my wall so that I can visually see it. And I'm good with like list calendars. So I created a system for myself for this semester in particular, because this is going to be a very writing heavy semester. And it's also a really heavy semester for me at work. And so I'm taking 599 and 524.
Okay.
And I went through both of the syllabi for both of those professors, and I created a key on this calendar that will then go on the big calendar that basically has like what assignments are kind of combined assignments. So where when I'm doing research for one, I'm actually doing research for the other.
Ah.
And like, what days do I know that I need to work on this? What days do I know that I have like a dinner plan? And so I talked to my person that I spend time with, and I said, hey, when are we going to do, like, I know we're going to Astoria this night. Shout out to Astoria, great restaurant in DC. You should go check it out, Naila. They have
I
like,
will.
we should go. I'll book us
There you
something.
go. Okay, let's go.
Um, and so I know that on Fridays are hard because for me, Friday is my life day. And so I know that I cook dinner on Fridays or I go do something on Fridays after work. And so in my mind, Fridays are kind of a day that I don't want being
Right.
really tainted with anything else. And then I know that on like Saturday morning, I might need to get up early and do stuff because I know that I work better in the morning. I'm not a
Yeah.
great after work person for work. I know that I work best in the morning. My mind works best probably between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. or
Okay.
even 5:30 and 8 a.m. And so, which I never, maybe all the years of swimming and playing water polo and having 6 a.m. practice got me prepared for that.
Maybe.
And so knowing in my mind, like, hey, I know I'm probably not going to be any good after being at work all day and coming home after 4 or coming home at 3:30. And so that means if I have something due, then I need to make sure that I'm getting it done at this time, which means I probably should focus on it on this Saturday. And another strategy that really helped me, we haven't done it yet this semester, and we didn't do it last, or no, we did it last semester, was the writing circle time. And
Yes.
so I feel like, and I've been doing a lot of research on how does my brain work? And I know that being a little neurodivergent and having like ADHD and trying to figure out how this all comes together without me feeling like, why can't I just do this?
Hmm.
But knowing that I need tools and strategies and going and buying books and looking at charts and graphs and things, and studying strategies, I have been able to recognize that like, okay, I'm not failing at life. I'm just struggling. My brain needs to find a way to get wrapped around this. Co-working really helps, or having like an accountability buddy.
Yeah.
And so, hey, y'all, or our check-ins when we did our check-ins for our course that we had to take together last. Hey,
Hmm.
how's everybody doing? Or let's check in on this Saturday morning. And so, really having those cues that are like social cues or
Yeah.
visual cues, or setting timers for myself. I know that I can't work in a huge chunk of time. But if I set 10 or 20-minute timers, And I
Yeah.
hear him go off and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stay focused for 10. And then, oh, let's just go reorganize your bookshelf again. No, girl, you need to sit down. So if you're gonna reorganize that bookshelf in the middle of you knowing that you need to do this, then you could do that for 5 minutes, but you need to sit back down and get your stuff done. So you need to set another timer. And so I work really well with those cues of like timers,
Hmm.
calendars. I have a whole system that I've used probably for more than a decade now of when I complete task on a list. So I use squares. And so a square is a task I need to do.
Ooh, wait. So before we go into that, let's take a break. I want to
Okay.
come back with the part two because I feel like you're going to get into the juicy things, and I want to make sure that we have more time to really talk about it. So, guys, make sure you tune in next week. We're bringing Elise back for part two of the EDD series, our first interview special for this year. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you next week.